You'll never catch me, copper! No. He's right. The justice system is in place to serve justice as well as protect us from the worst people in society. But it's far from a perfect system and doesn't always work. In fact, there have been several notable people in the past that committed terrible crimes and completely got away with it. Here are 10 times guilty people walked free. Number 10 is Al Capone. One of the most famous gangsters of all time, Alphonse Al Gabriel Capone, was the king of the mob in Chicago, and while that's well documented, for some reason no charges ever stuck to him. For that reason, it's unknown just how many deaths Capone was actually responsible for. Everyone from his lowly henchmen to his top lieutenants were either too loyal or more afraid of his power and wrath than that of the police, so nobody would roll on the kingpin of Chicago crime. Capone was responsible for the Valentine's Day Massacre back in 1929, though he was conveniently in Florida at the time. And though pursued by police for multiple deaths related to him, the only thing that put the mobster behind bars was a tax evasion charge in 1931. You know, folks, if you're gonna rob and steal and murder and kill, if you're gonna do all these things, at least just pay your taxes. Be a good citizen. Number 9 is Richard James Heron. On July 7th, 1977, Richard James Heron brutally bludgeoned his girlfriend Bonnie Garland to death with a hammer while in Garland's parents' home in Scarsdale, New York. The couple had met while attending Yale University and had been dating for 2 years, but Garland felt it was time to end things. Upset over this, Heron savagely attacked her and then stole the family's car, drove to a church, and confessed what he'd done to a priest. After he was arrested, an outpouring from the Catholic community begged for leniency. Listen, Father, I know he turned her face into jello, but he's a Catholic, so. Heron was labeled a victim of society, and this led to Garland seeming like the bad guy at the trial instead of the victim. Instead of murder, Heron was found innocent of murder in the first or second degree, but guilty of manslaughter. And he was released in 1995. That's like shooting someone and being like, yeah, but I'm the victim, the gun was expensive. Number 8 is Robert Durst. Though he's now on trial for the murder of his friend Susan Berman, 74-year-old Robert Durst had walked away from several potential charges. Nicknamed the Jinx, Durst had been a suspect in not only Berman's death, but the disappearance of his first wife, Kathleen McCormick, in early February of 1982. Oh, that and, a little thing like the murder and disbodiment of his neighbor, Morris Black. In the case of Black, Durst actually admitted that he and his neighbor had struggled over Durst's .22 handgun, and it had accidentally gone off in the other man's face. Oh, no, officer, see, when people are rude to me, it makes my finger really itchy, and I happen to be holding a gun, so really it was his fault, because I just right in his face. Itchy finger. So from there, he went ahead and hacked the man to pieces and threw those pieces in the Galveston Bay in Texas. Even with this incriminating confession, due to a lack of forensic evidence, Durst was acquitted of the murder. Yeah, I chopped that guy up. Well, we can't find the axe, so you're free. Have a good day. Number 7 is Oscar Pistorius. On February 14th, 2013, former Olympic and Paralympic sprinter Oscar Pistorius shot and killed his girlfriend, 29-year-old model Riva Steenkamp, in their South Africa home. Pistorius claimed to mistake her for an intruder who was trying to hide in his bathroom and fired 4 rounds from his handgun through the locked bathroom door. Honey, just taking a shower. Wait a second, my girlfriend only takes baths. Pop, pop, pop. However, evidence suggested the killing was an act of revenge after a heated argument between the couple. Pistorius was convicted of culpable homicide and was sentenced to 5 years in prison. But he only served 1 of those years and was out on October 15th, 2015. This guy was only sentenced for 5 years and he only served 1? My God, he should have got 10 years just for being a moron. Number 6 is Don King. Most commonly known as the boxing promoter with big insane hair, Don King is a convicted murderer, having taken the life of Sam Garrett on April 20th, 1966. King had just walked into the Manhattan Tap Room in New York City when he noticed Garrett, a former employee and drug addict who owed him a debt of $600. Enraged over the seemingly small amount, King took the man outside, pulled a gun on him, and viciously beat and kicked him into the pavement. And Garrett died from his injuries, and King was arrested. He was convicted of non-negligent homicide, but served less than 4 years in prison for the crime, and was actually pardoned by Governor James Rhodes of Ohio in 1983. And the craziest thing is that this is the second person King killed after shooting Hillary Brown in 1954 after attempting to rob him. What's up with all these people walking free after murdering people? It just goes to show you there's some psychos out there. Number 5 is Lizzie Borden. On the morning of August 4th, 1892, married couple Abby and Andrew Borden were murdered in their Fall River, Massachusetts home. Both had been hit multiple times with a hatchet to the heads, and the only suspect in the killings was Andrew's daughter, Lizzie Borden. Despite the singular suspect, Lizzie was never found guilty. Leading up to the trial, she'd been caught lying to police and offered up several contradictory statements about the events that led up to discovering her father and stepmother's bodies. It was revealed that she'd attempted to purchase poison in the hours before the bodies were discovered, and 3 days later was caught trying to burn one of her dresses. No, it's not because there was blood on it, it just doesn't fit anymore. Still, the jury couldn't seem to believe a young woman would do something so horrific and only deliberated for an hour. Number 4 is Isaac Turnbow. Imagine for a moment a man who brags about killing someone both before and after his trial for the crime, but still never gets found guilty. It's not difficult to picture for anyone who's aware of the trial of Isaac Turnbow, as that's exactly what happened. In 2002, 24-year-old Declan Lyons was shot in the head with a rifle while working at American Flatbread Company, a pizza restaurant. His co-worker Isaac was arrested for the crime after confessing to friends that he'd done it. However, with the help of a strong legal team and the absence of a motive for the crime, he was acquitted in 2004. Then, in July of 2011, Isaac called the police and confessed to the murder, but unfortunately, due to the double jeopardy law, he could not be charged again for a crime that he'd been found not guilty of. Okay, sir, not guilty. Ha! I did it! None of y'all can do nothing! I did murder, you done! Number 3 is Robert Blake. On May 4th, 2001, 44-year-old Bonnie Lee Bakley was shot and killed while sitting in her husband, actor Robert Blake's parked car in Los Angeles, California. The couple had just finished dinner at Vitello's, an Italian restaurant, and had walked back to the car, but Blake claimed that he had gone back to the restaurant to get a handgun that he'd accidentally left behind. During that absence, someone apparently walked up to the car and shot Bakley, though the media and general public were quick to point out the absurdity in Blake's story. You know, this especially after 2 different witnesses testified that they had been approached by the actor and asked to murder the wife for him. Hey, how's it going there? Listen, I got like $20. Can you just off my wife? Okay, thanks. Still, despite all of this, he was declared not guilty, much to the public's shock. Number 2 is Casey Anthony. Once labeled the most hated woman in America, Casey Anthony was arrested for the 2008 murder of her 2-year-old daughter Kaylee, but found not guilty. The 2011 trial is considered by many to be one of the most mishandled high-profile murder cases by a prosecution ever. Though her daughter had been missing for 31 days, Anthony went out partying, got a tattoo, kept telling her parents their granddaughter was fine, and overall showed no concern about Kaylee. But after her body was found, Anthony lied several times to the police, even leading them around Universal Studios looking for her office before finally admitting that she'd been fired for years. Even her car was reported as smelling like a dead body before the remains were found, but the prosecution failed to prove without a reasonable doubt that Casey was the killer. Like I said, justice system needs a bit of an overhaul. And number 1 is O.J. Simpson. Okay, you knew the juice was going to be on this list, let's be honest. In possibly the most famous acquittal of all time, on October 3rd, 1995, ex-NFL running back and actor Orenthal James O.J. Simpson was found not guilty in the June 12th, 1994 murders of his ex-wife Nicole Brown and her friend Ronald Goldman, both of which were found having been stabbed several times. Simpson's defense attorneys, who the media dubbed the Dream Team, used a number of methods to get a verdict to swing in their favor, including making the defendant try on 2 bloody gloves that were found, one at the scene of the crime and one at Simpson's home near the white Ford Bronco that had the deceased's blood on it. The jury took only 4 hours to decide, but many of them have come forward since, saying that they believed he did it and had to acquit due to the sloppy work of the prosecution. But he ended up going to jail anyways later for robbery, so hey, screw you, OJ. So that was 10 times guilty people walked free. And if you guys enjoyed this, remember to give it a thumbs up, and also be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, and make sure you turn on notifications by clicking the bell beside the subscribe button so that you never miss a thing, because I release new videos all the time. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!